the conversation is evolving in Africa right now. We're talking more about transmission, the integration of battery storage, and also the hybridization of solar and wind projects. Africa has an abundance of renewable energy potential. In the past, we were developing standalone projects that would integrate into the existing infrastructure, and the grid itself needs to be stabilized. So that's where battery storage plays a crucial role in smoothing out the demand profile and the intermittency of renewables so that base load can be satisfied. So Infinity Power wishes to be the preferred partner to African nations, providing the lowest levelized cost of electricity, sustainably and affordably to the African communities. We're not just a renewable energy producer, but we're also looking at partnering with local communities in providing them with the necessary skills, providing them with community initiatives that empower them economically, and we invite members of the neighboring communities to be part of our team in delivering the projects.
Look, ambition and bankable projects are actually quite intertwined. Every project starts as an ambitious concept, it starts as an idea. But what happens between that point of having that concept and actually having an operational project is where we come to bankability. Now, what are the projects that are bankable doing in that time? Well, they're doing feasibility studies. They're identifying off-takers who will buy whatever they're selling at the right price, whether it be energy, water, whatever it is. They are identifying the right contractors who can construct that project. They're looking for good operators that can operate that project. They're figuring out what's the right security package where if I were to present this to a bank, they would actually find it bankable and actually fund that particular project. That's the difference between being ambitious and being bankable. The role of government really is to create a stable environment that allows for ease of business and for capital to flow. That requires having the right policies that actually address some of the issues that businesses are facing when they're trying to execute projects on the continent. That is the main priority for government, is ensuring that it is easy for things to flow through, whether I want licenses or permits. There are processes in place that make sense and follow through to make those projects a success.
Human capital is the backbone of any energy transition. I mean, for you to deliver projects, you need people. First, if you think about it, you need to plan. And the planning requires people. The policy making requires people who are having the right mindset, who understand what needs to be done in a particular country. So that's always key. And even for that, for projects to be permitted, because before you have to meet the bankability assessments of the project, that's been done by people. So you really need people that they can actually do the work that is required in order to make the project to be bankable. While they're bankable, also in the bank, the financial institutions really require people that they can do the necessary due diligence, make sure that it ticks the right boxes, credit committee members that they can make right decisions and understand the need of those projects. So for that, you really require people. And for delivery or execution of this project, you need smart engineers that they can execute them smartly, that they can innovate, that they can make these projects to be efficient, that they can operate them as they finish with the execution of the project. So overall, without people, the energy transition, just becomes a dream. You really require people that are of the right mindset, that they can deliver these projects in any particular country. As an investor, when you're investing in projects, you really want to see these projects being executed, to be run smoothly, to only risk to be mitigated. But who does that? It's actually the people that are there. When I'm investing in any project, as a financial institution like ourselves at Nedbank, we really require to see, are these people that they have the right skills that they can execute? Because having right people, you mitigate a lot of things. You mitigate delays, you mitigate cost overruns. So for that, it's always key that you have the right people driving this project. So for investment, you can't invest in a project which you don't know who's going to deliver it. You really need to be engaging with people and having the right people that are delivering this project to make sure that your investment is secure.
Industrialization is not a resource story. In fact, it's actually a connectivity story. And it's about, the real value comes from connecting those resources to markets. As we've done in the United States, how we become the economic powerhouse that we are, it was because of connecting our resources to the necessary markets across the various infrastructure and logistics that we've built out. So the United States stands ready to bring that expertise, that knowledge, that capability to Namibia. In fact, alongside institutional finance such as DFC, XM Bank, USTDA, marrying them up with private investment and bringing our expertise as, again, a pioneering country that really, we learned very early on, although we're only 250 years old, we learned very early on that it was about connecting those resources to markets. So we're ready to bring that expertise and stand ready to bring that expertise to Namibia to assist with the logistics, getting those resources where they need to be, and again, out to market. We have Walvis Bay. We've got some of the best roads in Africa, and we've got U.S. logistics companies already on the ground, looking at this, mapping it out, and demonstrating how you move across this Southern Africa energy corridor through Namibia as a node to this corridor, and out through the port at Walvis Bay, and again, out to market. What I think Namibia is actually doing right. Namibia, they realize the potential they have under the ground. They realize the potential they have out in the Orange Basin with the oil and gas developments there. And what they're doing is they're building above ground. Because again, it's about getting those resources out to market. But they're not only building infrastructure and logistics, they've built the necessary regulatory frameworks that are a signal to private investment that this is a stable, rule of law country that investors can feel comfortable investing in. As you know, in a frontier market, and there's quite a bit of assurances that U.S. investors need when investing in a frontier market. But in a frontier market, they need to feel comfortable, and Namibia is doing that well. Again, they've built out the regulatory frameworks. They have political stability, and they're a rule of law country. So, when it comes to private investment, sophisticated investors, they don't gamble. And I like to say, capital follows trust. And Namibia is really signaling to the world that not only can they move the materials out to market, but that investment is safe, in the country. So what Namibia needs to do today, and what Africa in general and any frontier market needs to do, is they need to focus on regulatory stability. And again, circling back to what I was saying with regard to capital following trust, investors need to feel confident in where they're investing and comfortable in where they're investing. And it's that stability and that regulation, knowing that when you invest in a country like Namibia, you're investing in, again, a rule of law country that's transparent, that has taken the time and the consideration to put in place the necessary regulation that you unfortunately haven't seen elsewhere, on the continent in a significant way that you would hope, because again, that's what attracts investment. But Namibia's done that, and it's that which is going to make a difference. It's that regulatory stability, and it's going to allow that that capital to follow. AEF to me represents the future of Africa. This here, what we're seeing, you're bringing investors, you're bringing entrepreneurs, engineers, folks like myself. You're bringing people, ministers from various different countries. Everybody's converging here, and it's these conversations, it's this crossbreeding of ideas that is really going to carry us forward here on the continent. It's these meetings, it's these panels that I just came from. It's the exchange of ideas that that really AEF has given us a forum for that, and an arena to come together from all over the continent with the same goal in mind. Really, how do we best move forward, industrializing the future here on the continent, and getting, again, those resources, those precious resources here on the continent. It's not a lack of resources here. I mean, it's actually, abundance is probably the word we should be using. But it's getting those abundant resources out to market. And what we have here is we have an ecosystem of the right people to be starting to have those conversations, to be moving things forward, and allowing for that to happen. Whether it's through the port at Walvis Bay, along that Southern Africa energy corridor, up through up through Libido corridor and elsewhere on the continent. Those people are here today, and they're all focused on the industrialization here on the continent.